What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sloth Fab Garage. It is a bit of a mess in here, but we're going to take on a project anyway. Today, we're going to be putting that bumper, which is for a TJ, onto the front of flip-flop here. I don't think it's going to be too bad. We're going to basically build some tie-ins here. We'll cut this open so we can get to the inside of the frame rails here, and tie in similar to how the factory ones do. I'm actually taking some of this idea from the Bad Dad Fab winch bumpers. Those tie in very nicely, so I'm going to get some stuff in there, and then kind of build a little bit of a box out here that would simulate the front rails of a TJ, and then that should bolt right up. And what we're going to use is this beautiful piece of cutoff right here. This is the last 2 feet of my Jeep trailer. I wanted the trailer shorter, so I just cut the tail off, and this is what's left over. So I got some nice thick plate, probably 1/8 or 3/16, and then we got some angle here of varying sizes. So I think between what's all here, we should be able to build what I need here plenty strong. I also have some other random stuff laying around, so I think we can make it. If I can, I'm gonna try to use these tie-ins as well, the factory ones. I don't know if that's going to be a possibility. I think these sit too wide for that. This total width is just past this to just past this, so it might fit, but we're gonna see. So right now I'm gonna straighten a little bit and then take the factory brackets off of that, and we'll get started and see what we got. Alrighty, we have progress. That is a very large and ridiculous looking stinger on an XJ. I think it's fantastic. So what I've done basically is I cut the ends of the rails out. They were just a oval there, and I kind of opened them up. Took the factory brackets, and instead of mounting them on the outside of the frame rail, mounted them on the inside of the frame rail. Used the same bolts, everything, slid them back in. And that gave me pretty close to the correct mounting width for this. You can see here's the factory mounting holes for a TJ, and I just moved over about 3/4 of an inch on each side to hit those. So that's not a big deal. One bolt, however, is not going to hold this on, clearly. So now that I've got a pretty solid mounting point, I can basically set this bumper where I want this way, and then build off of the factory brackets, build kind of a little cage in here for that to mount to. And then I think, because 3 bolts kind of pulled back into the frame is not super strong, I think we're going to also build something off of this. Not really too sure how I want to do that yet. I'm kind of thinking at some point I may put a winch in here, so I don't want to get too crazy here and end up having to cut out all my work. So maybe if I can make a piece of channel down here or something that would bolt to the bottom rail here and then to the bottom of this. If I ever did want to put a winch in here, I'd cut the bottom of the grill out and cut the bottom of this out and kind of recess it back in there. So yeah, I think the next thing is to kind of set this bumper where I want, flatness wise, and then build the box essentially to go in here, get that all welded up, and then once it's kind of secure and where I want it, I can build whatever other pieces I need to go in here to strengthen that up, and possibly tie something back farther on the rails, maybe on the outside. Not too sure how I will go about that yet, but I don't think it would be too terribly difficult. We'll also see once it's there how strong it is. If it feels like it needs more, then we'll add more, but if not, I'm not too worried about it. I don't plan on smashing this into stuff a lot, but if I can run a soft shackle through here and pull myself out, that would be handy. So if I ever do put a winch in there, I would be doing a lot more tie-in, so that can always be done at that point. But I'm going to pull this up kind of flat and start building the box. With a little help from some ratchet straps, I was able to kind of center that, or I guess level it where I wanted to. Took some measurements, top and bottom, and cut some plates out of this. Did a really nice job cutting the plates out and bending them up, only to find that my measurements were somehow like 3/8 of an inch off for overall height, which should be 4-ish, and I was at like 4.5 almost. So since all my other measurements were good and I didn't want to redo this, I basically just cut a 1/4 inch out of the middle, like 3/8 of an inch out of the middle, and butt welded them back together, both sides. I'm not too concerned about how strong that's going to be. I think that should be plenty fine. So now that I've got both of those done, these are basically going to get put on just like this. You kind of see like so, and it'll stick out past this edge just a little bit, and then that will essentially slide right in there, and then that can all get bolted together, and then I'll be able to use 3 bolts on each side of this, which is how it's designed to fit on the TJ. So I think we should be okay for the attachment point from this to that. Still a little questioning on the total attachment point to the frame of this vehicle, but we can always add stuff. So once it's all in place, then I can start adding things without fear of it shifting on me. So I think we're going to take those and get them welded right up on here, and then once we're there, we can put this back on, drill the holes, get it actually bolted in nice and tight, and start working on additional reinforcements. Quick look at what these look like. Basically just a big square on the end of each frame rail. I did weld top and bottom of each top and bottom seam, so those are pretty solidly on there. There isn't a ton to weld at the tops, maybe only 1.25 inches of weld, but if it was just one and there was a lot of rotational force on there, that might be a little bit more concerning. But since they're tied together, it's really just forward and backwards. There's not going to be a whole lot of twisting on these, so I'm not too worried about that. So let's throw that stinger up on there and drill some holes. Well, we have a functional stinger on the XJ. Grill's back in. Everything looks pretty good, except for obviously this stuff on both sides, which I'll have to address shortly here. What I did for the underplate is I took this channel right here and nipped off one end basically. You can see 2 bolts there, and if we go underneath, you can see the other 2 here. So those are tied in to holes that were pre-existing in this, which are near this double bend here, which is fairly rigid for how thin it is. And I didn't have to drill any new holes, which was nice. And then I just put 2 holes in the bottom of the bumper, and that tied all that in. So it is it's pretty solid. I'm not 100% satisfied with the tie-in to the frame rails here, but for the time being I think I'm gonna leave it be and give it a couple test pulls, smack on some stuff. We'll see. If it needs more, it needs more. I guess all that's left then is to do a little trimming, which works out all right because I need to trim these wheel wells anyway. Every time I go over a bump and turn, I'm rubbing, I'm assuming it's the front, I don't know. But yeah, we're basically gonna nip this off straight here, then we'll open up the typical cut line on the fenders there. So I'm gonna do that, give you guys one last look, and then we'll call it a night to the grinder. And we're done. A little bit of overkill on the cut, but better to be safe than sorry. I only took out the first lip right here, so I believe that'll be enough. If not, I can always come in and take out the second line there, but for now I think that'll be good. I didn't like how it came down and straight across there, so we took an angle, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with this stuff yet. Might leave that like that as long as it's not in the way, but for now I think we'll leave that. Probably end up nipping this little corner off, but I think we're good to go. Time to go give it a test drive. Appreciate you guys watching. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Catch you on the next one.